Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and this is day 17 of the 80 Days to Your Dream Body course. Today's protein source is going to be sardines, and today is a chest training workout. And the theme for today's workout is assisted PNF stretching. So right now, I'm going to be demonstrating how to perform contract relax PNF stretching. Now let's get started. And while we're resting, we're going to continue with the PNF demonstration. And now we are going to move on to the lateral posterior fibers. And this is going to be very similar to the postural lateral fibers where we have the same setup position. So we're flexing the hip and knee. If you want, you could place the foot on your actual hip. And then what we would do for this one is we want knee to sternum. So you could place your forearm or you could place your hand, whatever feels comfortable. Play around with different positions to see what feels comfortable. For me, I like to use my forearm and just give a little bit of a lean. But you would lift up, lean, and then have them inhale and press into you. And then on the exhale, you would lift and lean and get deeper into the stretch. If you want, you could do something like this where you're a little bit more squared up to them, but play around with the different positions. With regard to this position right over here, when we're focusing on the lateral posterior fibers, we are going to be primarily focusing on the gluteus maximus muscle, specifically the lateral fibers of the glute max, also the piriformis, and more specifically the inferior fibers of the piriformis, and also the quadratus femoris. To a lesser extent, we are going to be getting the gluteus medius posterior fibers when we are in this position. But the next thing that we would want to do is we are going to focus on the posterior fibers. For the posterior fibers, we are in the same setup position, so we're flexing the hip and knee. We got the foot on our ankle, and for this one, we want to drive the knee toward the same side shoulder. So what we would do for this one is same thing. We could either use the forearm, use the hand. You could use one hand on the calcaneus and then one hand on the lateral aspect of the tibia. Find what makes it comfortable for you. For me, I've always enjoyed placing the foot on my hip and my forearm on the tibia, but see what works for you. Anyway, we would go ahead. You could use your hip to lift up, and then we would lean and get that knee toward the same side shoulder. On the inhale, the patient would press into us, and then on the exhale, we would lift and lean and get deeper into the stretch. For this one right over here, because we are targeting the posterior fibers, the main things that we're going to be stretching is going to be the gluteus maximus. And once again, we're going to be targeting the central fibers of the gluteus maximus muscle. We're also going to be hitting the hamstrings group. And for this one right over here, we're going to be getting a lot more of the biceps femoris because of the orientation that we're in, specifically the long head. We're also going to be getting the posterior fibers of the adductor magnus as well as the piriformis, because once we get past a certain degree of flexion, the piriformis reverses its action and it goes from a lateral rotator to a medial rotator. But some of the other muscles that are going to be involved, we're going to be getting a little bit of the semitendinosus and semimembranosus. The semimembranosus in this specific position is going to be the least stretch that we're going to get in the hamstrings group. In this stretch, we are primarily going to be getting the biceps femoris because we are in lateral rotation. So the biceps femoris is going to be under the most tension of the hamstrings group. But our rest period is up. Time for set number 6. That was just a tiny taste of what can be found in my members only section. If you enjoyed it, become a member for only $5 a month to get access to hundreds of member only videos.